This is Mr. Thompson again, and in our last video on equation editor we looked at some Greek letters and how to type in Greek letters. So just as a quick recap, if we went Alt equals to get into equation editor, then we could do backslash theta and press the space bar and it creates theta. We could do backslash omega. Now notice omega with a lowercase o. As soon as I press spacebar, it converts that code into lowercase omega. If I want uppercase omega, then backslash omega starting with an uppercase o. Now as soon as I press spacebar, there's my uppercase omega. So we looked at it. You can type in just about any Greek letter using the backslash, and then when you press spacebar it converts into a Greek letter. Now that technique is not just limited to Greek letters, so let's do some more. Alt equals. Now here's one. Often if I want to do 3 times 4 equals 9, if I wasn't in equation editor, I would just type 3, and instead of times I would write x, because x looks like times. In equation editor though, when I type x, it looks like an algebraic x, like that. So 3 times 4 doesn't look like 3 times 4, it actually looks like 3x4. We don't want that. So how do we do that in equation editor? Again, we could hunt up here, we could hunt around for the little equation multiplication sign, or here's a clue. Notice when I hover over the top of the multiplication sign, see that? I can't point it to with my finger, but you can see in the little tooltip, the little box that comes up, you can see there's multiplication sign in brackets backslash times. So that backslash times tells me that the shortcut for the times symbol is backslash times. So if I'm going to do times without a mouse, I can come back into my equation. Let's start again. 3 backslash times spacebar. That's my times symbol. 3 times 4 equals 12. Beautiful. Okay, what other symbols can we do? Let's look at some interesting ones, or some useful ones. Therefore is one that you will use all the time. Backslash therefore, quite intuitive. Therefore, terrific. What else? Let's do a few more. Backslash div. Now div is not the same as divide. If you do divide, let's try divide. Backslash divide spacebar doesn't actually work. The code is div. How do I know that? Again, the way I can do it, if I can come up to the menu system here and I'm not sure, I hover over the division sign. It tells me underneath. It pops up a little tooltip and it says the code for the division sign is backslash div. So if there are symbols that I use on a regular basis, degree C, backslash dig C. So let's try that. If I do 45 degrees, 45 backslash dig C spacebar. That's very useful. In fact, there is another one. If I could do backslash degree. Yeah, that's a useful thing to know because degrees are so painful to enter in Microsoft Word. Alright, a few others. Let's look at a few others. Backslash infinity. That's a useful one. Backslash we had therefore, so let's try because. You know that works. Okay, here's a useful one. Approximately equals backslash approx. All very useful. What else have we got? Equivalent to backslash equiv equals to by definition. Equivalent to. Okay, so there's some useful ones. Let's look at a couple more that are slightly different. What about square root? All equals. What if I wanted to say the square root of 16 equals 4? Okay, again, I could come up here and I could look for the square root sign in the menu. There we go, I could use that. Now that doesn't give me the tip. That's a bit annoying, isn't it? But never mind. I know the tip. That if I go backslash squirt, like that, spacebar, then it creates a square root sign. And I can do 16, square root of 16 equals 4. Beautiful. What if though, what if I wanted to do square root of b squared plus c squared? Let's do that. Let's say a equals backslash squirt, spacebar, b squared plus c squared. So let's try that and see what goes wrong. B squared, spacebar plus c squared spacebar. We just skipped to a new page there, sorry about that. Okay, that's not really what we wanted, is it? We wanted the square root sign to be over the top of b squared plus c squared. So to fix that, all I need to do, let's try again, a equals backslash squirt. Okay, if I use some brackets now, this will help. So I'm going to put my brackets there, b squared plus c caret 2 close brackets. Okay, now when I press spacebar, it'll convert all of that into square root of b squared plus c squared. So the brackets grouped b squared and c squared together, so that equation editor knew that all of that b squared plus c squared needed to go under the square root sign. Alright, one other thing I'll show you on this one, another symbol that's very useful is vectors. If I wanted to type f equals ma, f equals, actually let's go into equation editor, equals f equals ma. Now my more advanced physics students will tell me that's not correct, Mr. Thompson, because because f and a are vectors, so we need to use vector notation. Okay, now there's a few ways we could do this. If we wanted to use the mouse, I could come up here and I could go, where is the correct one? Accent. So I'd have to find under accent, I could find my little vector signs, and I could put arrows or half arrows or things like that over the top of over the top of a letter. Or if I don't want to use the menu system, I can type f backslash, a symbol for a special symbol, vec, and vec is short for vector. So f backslash vec, when I press the space bar, it turns that vec backslash vec code into a vector, but that's not quite what we want because the vector symbol is not over the top of the f. So if I press spacebar a second time, that will actually move the vector symbol back over the top of the f like that. Beautiful. Okay, let's do the same with a. So a backslash vec and spacebar to create the arrow, spacebar again, we'll put the vector sign over the top of the a. Now, if you're like me, I don't really like those little vector signs. I like the little half arrows better. So fortunately, let's try that. There is a way of doing the little half arrows. So if I type f backslash, logically enough, hvec means half arrow vector. I think that's what it stands for anyway, but that works. Spacebar to create the half arrow vector, and then spacebar again to put the half arrow vector over the top of the f. So vector f equals ma backslash h vec spacebar. There we go. Newton's second law, f equals ma, with the cool little half vector arrows that I like better than the full arrows. And I think that'll do for this video. There you go.